Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. This is December 13th, 2025. This is episode 170. If you're new to my channel, this is a conservative-leaning podcast. But I do take on subjects that are uncomfortable even for some Republicans. I'm not MAGA. I'm a Federalist. I believe in the Constitution. This is the Bible for the people of the United States under our government. The difference is, this can be challenged. The Bible can't. You can, but you ain't going to win. This, you got a shot. Today's topic is going to stay on the corruption in Minnesota. Walz and his phony baloney, I'm just finding out about this, So that's one of my topics of the day amongst many. We're going to go through all that. I don't normally go into things like, crime and, that is just, random acts, but I am going to touch upon it with, in New York. Another thing I'm going to speak about, I was going to put this first on my list, but I ended up putting it third on my list. It's a YouTube channel, Raymond Real Talk on YouTube. RAMINREALTLK. Sorry. And that is I don't see him being a conservative or a liberal or anything. He's just putting stuff out there that's going on in the state that should have a Republican and Democrat and liberal upset. So he makes a lot of sense. You should go visit his channel. I'll go into a little bit more on it. Of course, the Democrats, keep bringing out Epstein. Jasmine Crockett, some news about her again. And a little blurb about Bernie Thompson, Democrat representative out of Mississippi. So we're going to go through this. Going to try to do this in under 40 minutes today. It's Saturday. I don't usually do a Saturday show, but because I have not put a show out in a couple of days, I just haven't been feeling up to it. I don't know. I got something. No one knows what it is, but I got something. And it beat me up pretty good, but I'm stronger. So, all right. So Walz continued to show he is not a very bright man. He really is not. Thank God. Thank God Trump won. He gets on TV and says Minnesota is a den for fraud, and he cries that this is because Minnesota is such a generous state. What fool makes a statement like that? This guy was going to be vice president? He said it's not just the Somalian community, it's happening all over the state. Really? Really? I can't understand this guy. There's no way he can dodge what's coming down the road with him. And there's no way the Democrats can avoid the more than uncomfortable moment that is coming. And with this whole scandal, I wish President Trump would go, I would love to fund and make the Affordable Care Act affordable. But until I get the data from the Democratic states that refuse to give information on federal money that they get and how it's being spent and who's on it and who's getting it, so we can compare it to make sure there's no hanky-panky going on, the Democrats refuse to give this information. Oh, that's that's intrusive. Well, maybe they could find the $300 billion that is being stolen through all 50 states so they could fund and keep up subsidies for the healthcare program. And if we're not going to have a healthcare program on a single-payer system, then this is the only real avenue for a lot of people. A lot of people just can't afford the healthcare, and I agree, it needs to be addressed. Let's address it let's cut out the fraud, find out who should be getting EBT, who's not, Social Security, all our money going out the door, with the promise that any money saved, we're never going to capture that money back that they stole. Just not happening, folks. Don't even count on that. That's like, trying to wait for grandma's inheritance. Good luck with that. With the promise that if we save $50 billion, that is earmarked. Because we're spending that already, and no one seems to have a problem with it. Well, really, we do. But I would rather see it go towards healthcare than Somali terrorists. We're talking a few $billion just in Minnesota alone. I'd say $50 billion in California. Let's start looking in Ohio and Illinois. Let's start taking a look. Let's start taking a look in New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Virginia. Let's look in red states. Let's look in Texas. Let's look in Pennsylvania. Let's look in Indiana. Let's look at some of the all these states. All the states should be forced to comply to the federal government on who is getting this money from the federal government. If you don't get money from the federal government at all, have a good day. And when I say money from the federal government, I'm meaning money for, welfare type programs. Social Security, not so much, because that's already looked at pretty good. I'm talking about EBT, which gets funded through states and stuff, and you find out that these people are all over the place. And NGOs that, get money, that were getting money. I want to see Doge come back. I want them involved in this. I want them to be the people that look at this and report back to Congress. And that's the way it should work. Republican John Nagel, who is seeking to unseat Democratic Representative Omar of Minnesota, says that she has deep ties to those who have been charged and, in many cases, convicted of fraud against the American taxpayers. That's not a misstatement. That's true. The Justice Department uncovered and prosecuted more than $1 billion in fraudulent payments from COVID-era programs, mostly going to those from the Somali community in Minnesota, from which Omar hails. The defendants in this case falsely claimed to have served 91 million meals for which they fraudulently received nearly $250 million in federal funds. The money never went to feed these kids. Instead, it was used to fund their lavish lifestyle. So some of this money ended up in Somalia. Some of this money ended up in car dealerships and homes. Today's verdict sends a message to the community that fraud against the government will not be tolerated, the prosecutor said. So some of these people were already looked at and found that there were problems. Nagel told Fox News that Feeding Our Future program at the center of the scandal came about as a result of a 2020 Meals Act introduced by Omar and passed with bipartisan support. What are you going to say? Well, you're not going to feed these children? How dare you? You're going to let, they got, little Oliver there, Can I have some more, please? So if you look at where the fraud is, primarily her 5th congressional district, the district that I'm running against her in, and that's Nagel. And it's really odd to think that, all the funds just happened in a particular area, and it was a bill that she, particularly put together, he said. But walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and swims like a duck. And chances are it's a duck. For example, U.S. Acting Attorney Lisa Kirkpatrick said in March news release that the Amy Bach and Salim Syed took advantage of the COVID pandemic to carry out a massive fraud scheme that stole money meant to feed children. So this has been out there. They knew about this. Tim Walz was warned about this. His administration was warned about this. I can't say for certain that he outright knew. Maybe they didn't tell him. I don't know. I find it hard to believe. And if they didn't tell him and he had an administration like that, that's even more scary. We'll keep up on top of that. That's been a good, I'm trying to see how long I've been up here for, 12-minute rant on that. Little Christmas gift my granddaughter made me. A little penguin. So I put that right up here. I told her I would show it. There you go. And in New York, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't usually get into sensationalism, topics, sex scandals, or if they involve the federal government, and yeah, okay, I'll get into that. Because where's the checks and balances and things of that sort. But this was a tourist stabbed in Macy's while changing a baby in the ladies' room. Welcome to New York. This is just another mental patient and criminal. She was a criminal. Released with no regard to the public in New York. And not just New York. We see this in North Carolina. We see this in California. We see this in South Carolina. With criminals being released. Sure, you did 3 of these 4, 5, 6 crimes before. This individual was already arrested a few times for actual attacks and threats against government officials. They let her out, and the next day she stabs a woman changing a baby in New York. You don't think there's a problem with that? Besides the fact that this woman is obviously mental, but she's also a criminal. And we can lock up the criminally insane. What the F is she doing on the street? And she bought a knife. She bought the knife while in Macy's. Okay, I'm just going to say, Macy's is not a cheap place to buy knives. Where'd she get this money from? Begging? All right, maybe she begged. I mean, she bought the knife at Macy's and then used it to stab someone in Macy's. Now, that's not Macy's fault. And I would not blame Macy's or would not say, well, we need a knife act. You know, no. Crazy's crazy. They knew she was crazy. Why was she out there? We had a case here in South Carolina where an illegal immigrant arrested 3 times for DUI. No license, no nothing. Drives up on the road, or drives up onto a sidewalk and kills someone. How? How could that happen? How are they released? I had a family member stopped for no tail light, and they said he didn't pay a traffic ticket, and they put him in jail for a night. Had to bail him out. To find out that he had paid that traffic ticket a year and a half before that, and well, we made a mistake. Sorry, and absolutely ridiculous. We have a criminal justice system that aids criminals. The justice should be thrown out. It's a criminal system. Don't call it justice. It's a criminal system. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Wake up, America. And I blame the district attorneys that are voted in for not doing their job and not kicking it down to their ADAs and going, not that we're going to get tougher. The police arrested these people already. The police did their job. This is not a police problem. This is a court problem. That they don't want to take on this thing. Oh, we'll cut a deal. All right, hey, don't do this again. And, once go into a program, boom, 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 you come back, all right, you're going to be paying insurance for a while, pal. But before you get a driver's license back, we want to see, are you working for someone? Are you driving their vehicle? Are they informed that you have this? No? All right, so you have a car? If they go to register a car, if they get in a car and drive it, that's a problem. They have to show the court that they have insurance in a car. Yeah, even if they're borrowing someone's car, you can't drive unless you have shown the court that you have done this, at least for a year. It should be something that people do their due diligence. I think judges that work with ADAs and DAs to release these people should be held responsible. They're not, because they have qualified immunity. But they shouldn't. And I'm not saying every person that walks in there you throw the book at. There are circumstances. But there has to also be consequences. All right. I spoke earlier about Raymond Real Talk at YouTube. YouTube.com at Raymond, RAMIN, REAL Talk, all one word. I will have that up over here in my edited non-live version that most of you will see. I do a live feed, so it gets recorded, other than my record, which I constantly screw up. So this way, at least I can grab it later and edit it and download it. But he's in California, and like I said before at the opening of the show, I don't know what his political leanings are. That's not what his show is about. So he could be an uber Democrat. He could be an uber Republican. I don't know, because he doesn't show that. What he's shown in his last couple of videos that I have watched, I have not watched every one of them. He's been there a while. Is why people are leaving California, 1.2 million. And he did a very good show on the gas tax, where they are the highest tax, 80-something cents a gallon in the nation. And then they tried to do a mileage tax on people. And, they slipped it through, and then the people in, I think it was in San Diego, found out and voted all these guys out. And not waited for an election. They recalled them and said, you're out. Well, Sacramento snuck in some language. And go watch his video on the, last couple of videos. He's a very good presenter of the facts. He tells you where to find the facts. He tells you exactly what the worst case situation with these laws, and it always goes to a worst case situation, will do to people in California. It's a great little, half hour, if that, maybe 15 minutes of a podcast. And where I look at that is, if California tries that, well, there's going to be a couple of states that will go, they did it. One of the things they do is they're going to charge builders up to $320,000 taxation for roads per house, per unit in an apartment complex, a condo. You heard right, $320,000 added to the price that has nothing to do with market value. Yeah. So anyone buying these, well, he's got to take out a loan. Most of these people have to take a loan out. So you're talking, the average home in California is about $800,000 to start with. So now it will be $1 million. So that $300,000 probably gets tagged into whatever they're taking a mortgage out and paying for 30 years. And if it's a apartment complex that this person or whoever is floating a loan for, well, that has to get amortized. Who do you think is going to pay for that? The renter. Now, this is where I said big business going in and getting into the real estate business. The three that I'm talking about. This is interesting stuff. Because the fact of the matter is, if this is allowed and goes all the way through, which it has gone all the way through, people are going to say, hey, I don't care that, I'm not going to pay the $320,000. That's coming off your back, off the selling price of the house. So you want $700,000 for it. I'm going to give you four because I got to give $300 to the state. It keeps the price at $700,000 or $800,000. It's a penalty tax. And not only that, when these people sell the house, it's another $300,000 that the other seller has to pay. This is anti-home ownership. So the state can build all the houses and control who goes in there. That's what this is about. They already have a gasoline tax of 86 cents a gallon that's supposed to fix their roads, infrastructure. Forget about the billions that the federal government gives them. You want to talk about fraud in California? I'd say it's at $50 billion. And that's taking a conservative look at it. Newsom is the biggest thief in America. Newsom and his goons. The worst. The worst. The worst. Bob in New York, if you're listening, give me a call, please. Later. Or when you do see this show, if you do see this show, give me a call. Haven't heard from you. Want to make sure everything's all right. I'll reach out to you Sunday. Well, Democrats and their lackeys are at it again. As in the title of my show here. Bringing out Trump and Epstein in an old photo that's over 25 years old of Trump with Epstein. This is the same playbook they've used and failed with. We know Trump knew Epstein. A lot of people knew Epstein. We know Bill Clinton and Bill Gates hung out with Epstein years after they knew he was convicted of sexually based crimes. Now, Trump severed ties with him long, before that when he found out about stuff. And he said it. He goes, the guy was a little creepy. He liked him really young. Democrats, little word of advice to you. How about doing your job? Nothing's going to happen to any of these people. Criminally. Nothing. Way past what you can do to them. Unless you can prove that it's a minor, and even that time has run out in the state of Florida and the state of wherever these people live, except maybe New York, where they can roll back things to make it convenient. Where, you got to prove what you did 50 years ago. Who can do that? All right. If there was a smoking gun with Trump or anyone in the political arena, Biden, Harris, and Clinton would have leaked it out years ago. It would have found its way to someone with credible documents. Now, did they not do it because there were Democrats involved with it? Sure. Epstein didn't care. Epstein was a procurer. He didn't care. Republican, Democrat, capitalist, socialist, communist, didn't care. And anyone that does not think that Epstein was not an asset, and if you want to know what an asset means that I'm talking about, look it up. I don't have to spoon feed each and every one of you. There's just so many other things that the Democrats could be doing. The clock is ticking. The money's going to run out again on a temporary budget. Healthcare. Why aren't you out there every day screaming that? And said, look at the picture. Look, it's Trump next to Epstein. Well, the one with Bill Clinton was okay. The one with Bill Gates was okay. Steve Bannon, who cares? Bill Gates, honestly, who cares? Bill Clinton, honestly, who cares? And now there's a Democratic congressman that says that he has compromising pictures that they have of Epstein took of some of his victims and people in sexual poses. Sir, you gave me the vapors. Wow. I won't tell anyone, but that's why the Polaroid camera was invented. Okay. Enough. Epstein is dead. Gone. You'll be reading about this, the Democrats, every time they get stuck. Can you bring me an Epstein photo? I got people here asking me questions on fraud and anything that I've done in Congress. I need a picture of Epstein right away. Bullshit. We are calling you out. Can't wait. Can't wait for the political ads to start. Because I'm going to have some that I'm working on that are going to be doozies. And if any of you are out there that are listening, go take a look on YouTube. I want my EBT. Just say, I want my EBT. And listen to this song parody about it. There's a couple of good songs out there too, but I'm not going to press them and tell you where to go and put that information up here, but it's funny stuff. It's funny stuff. And I'm hoping some Republicans grab it and put it up there. All right. Jasmine Crockett. No relation that I know to Davy Crockett. But Jasmine Crockett is a representative from Texas, her little district. And she has announced that she's running for senator. But now she's putting her big toe into the nationwide arena. Now she has done that. She's made some outrageous statements, and people have blasted her and stuff. But now there's an accusation of her not paying a $3,000 debt that she owes on a luxury Houston residency. I don't know. Texas Representative Crockett can expect more scrutiny in her public life and private life now that she is running for the U.S. Senate. And this is what happens. You want to run for office? That's great. You want to make things up and say things? It's great. You're going to have some people peeling your life back like you're an onion. That I use. Just peel it back layer by layer. And look, there's more layers. Just never seems to end. Now, do I like that type of politics? No. But I understand why they do it. Because again, it's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to get to. Not hard. Oh, they'll find stuff on her. And she to me, doesn't have to go to those stunts and, and play the proud black woman, I'm going to do. She's a smart woman. She doesn't need to go to that. But she does, and that turns off people. Because we know you're smarter than that. Don't. Instead of going for the low-hanging fruit, rise. Rise. Show everyone how smart you are and articulate you are. It's really the way to do it. All right. It's been almost 35 minutes. I'm going to get on with Representative Bernie Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi, legislator. He was on CNN, and he was the representative that called the shooting of the 2 National Guards troops, one resulting in a fatality, an accident event. An accident. He said that was because Trump put these troops in harm's way illegally. That's what he was implying. That this was an accident waiting to happen. There's no accident. That was premeditated. He drove. The shooter drove. Yes, did he have a mental problem? Is he a true terrorist? I don't know. But this was not an accident. This was thought of, planned, deliberate, and he executed his plan. That's not an accident, you stinking moron. And this is what we have to put up with representatives. So, on CNN, he said he misspoke of his comments he made about the shooting. He said that Homeland Security had approved the asylum application for the shooter, and the administration could not put the blame on Biden. So he called it an accident, but he misspoke. Now, I would think that any person who would go, first, it's a tragedy. And I want to say, my sympathies to both the families, the people that know him and her, these troops, these National Guards, but the state, the people of West Virginia where they were stationed and brought into D.C., that our hearts ache for you. And that maybe there must be more approval and more look at of asylum seekers. Because he was brought over by Biden and then put through the process of being approved under the Trump administration. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And this guy, or maybe it was the Obama administration, but it doesn't really matter. It wasn't an accident. This had nothing to do with being an accident. This was this guy saying, you're going to blame Biden. You can't blame Biden. You can't blame the Democrats for this one. No, we're blaming the shooter. How about that? And you have these morons. And he's got to be a moron. that I misspoke. And the CNN host, I forgot her name, and she had said, and questioned him. She goes, "Oh, but this is what you said." And then when he said, "So you misspoke?" And he goes, "Yes, I misspoke." And then she just went on to something else. She didn't. I mean, at that point, he could have said, "Yeah, I used a poor choice of words." And, I apologize for using a poor choice of words at the time. So I misspoke. You should say exactly what he said. And that is not what I meant, but that's what came out of my mouth. And, now I'm backtracking on that. I want to correct my statement on that. And if I could take that second back, I would, but I can't. It's out. Everyone saw it. Everyone heard it. But to come out and not really justify what he was saying and quantify it, and say, okay, but this happened because he wasn't vetted properly. Maybe there is a problem with the vetting system. Maybe it has to be tougher. But to say, you can't blame these people, not us. No, that's because the easy answer would be that, yeah, we agree. It's a vetting process. We're not doing it anymore. We're stopping it. No one gets processed. There. So one bad apple does ruin the barrel. There you go. Is that what you wanted to do? Is that what you were saying? That we should get really tough with the vetting process? And maybe not be so eager to let people in and stay? Because that's what I would have thrown at him. And, you could have a poor choice of words. That happens. We're not all wordsmiths. So it can happen. I don't get it. He should have, in there, in his mea culpa, handled that a little bit better. Other things in the news today that I'm going to just talk on real briefly so I can get to the 45-minute mark is what's happening in Venezuela. And I heard some talk, and even my brother chimed in. And he said he's waiting for a federal judge to order the release of the tanker. Well, I said that can't happen because it's not in federal jurisdiction. Now, The Hague could turn around and say, hey, you can't do that. But I'm pretty sure that with the embargo and with our intelligence, we knew what was going on. It's interesting that the British intelligence is really, for whatever reason, very hesitant of supporting any U.S. actions. I think there is something going on in England with their government and with Iran and with other Muslim states. I think the UK is in big trouble. I think all of Europe is in big trouble. And that there is no assimilation. See, the assimilation is working the other way. When you came to America, my grandfather would tell me, I went to ball games. I didn't know what the hell a ball game was. I didn't know what the hell baseball was. But everyone was doing it, and I had this suit jacket just like everyone in those stands had almost the same colored type suit jackets. And they were dressed up and they were going to a ball game because that's what you did in America. You embraced the culture. You left your country because I've had enough of it. I'm coming over here. And I'm going to embrace this culture. And you could have your customs and traditions, believe me. My grandparents had their customs and beliefs, but they kept it in the house. Huge difference. In the house, they spoke Italian. Outside, they spoke English. As good as they could, but they did it. My grandmother and grandfather learned to read English from newspapers. They'd get an Italian newspaper in one, and they'd take the things off, and they'd read, well, that's what that meant over here, but this is what this is saying, and this is the word. And they were simple people, but they assimilated. Now you have people coming in here and go, no, you have to assimilate to me. And I have no problems if they have a mosque and, they go, they're called to prayer. That's what the church bells, bing, 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 in the morning, at 12 noon, boom, bing, bing, at 6 p.m., bing, bing, bing. It's the same thing. Same thing. There's no difference to me. I wouldn't want to live near it. I live near a church, religion alley, as we called it. You had churches, you had synagogues, you had Catholic church, you had a Presbyterian church, you had an Episcopal church, you had a temple, and then you had a Reformed temple, then you had an ultra-Orthodox temple, all on the same road. If you couldn't find a religion there was no hope for you. It should have been the safest street in Nassau County, which it was very safe when I was growing up. We had a very safe neighborhood. But nowadays, people don't assimilate. We have to, have all their beliefs. And I get it. Columbus Day Parade. St. Patrick's Day Parade. Thanksgiving Day Parade. We had them. Honestly, the only one we should have had was Thanksgivings and a 4th of July, Veterans Day. Now, I remember during, Memorial Day and Veterans Day, mostly Veterans Day, you'd have soldiers, in their old uniforms. They'd march. The fire department would be out there. They'd be it was a celebration. Same thing with Memorial Day. The recognition of those people that fell in the defense of our country. You don't have that anymore. Now it's all about having a sale. Why did Lincoln's birthday become a sale? Is there a Martin Luther King Day sale? People go, oh, you can't do that. That's too much. Well, what about Lincoln's birthday? Washington's birthday? President's Day sale. Why? It's up there with Valentine's Day. Make believe. Don't need them. Don't want them. We don't need a President's Day. We don't need a Columbus Day. It's nice. Columbus discovered America. All right. Don't need to teach about it. Don't need a special parade for it. Don't need Valentine's. Don't need Lincoln's birthday. We had it where you just President's Day. Every president, they're important. You want to have that? Great, have it. You know, it's not anything special to me. A lot of people. Tradition? All right. You want to throw traditions out there, we could do that. But, then you can't complain when other people want a Kwanzaa Day parade, or they want this parade, or they want that parade. Because a tradition had to start at the first time. Why would you deny those people then that? I said it gets too crazy. Gets too crazy. All right, this is 51 minutes going on. Again, I'd like to go back to Raymond Real Talk. Take a look at him. See what he's about. It's California. All that left coast stuff falls back to the East Coast. East Coast stuff falls to the left coast. So, gotta watch out. Look what these politicians are doing, because they all yak to one another. And I said red, blue doesn't matter. It's green that matters. The color green. All right, everyone. Give to a charity. If you feel uncomfortable giving to a charity, I could certainly understand that. Give to a food bank. Food, money, find out what else they need. But give. Say a prayer. Prayer works, regardless of what a Democrat will tell you. And again, I tell people, if you want to know what that meaning is, I'll gladly tell you. Email me at johnradiotv@gmail.com. I haven't looked at my fat cat, because most people post right up on, they send me my hate mail right through my channel, which is fine. You took the time to listen to at least disagree with me. So I'm fine with that. Join, subscribe, like, dislike. That's all good. But I would like people to join my channel, because it opens the opportunity. This is a non-monetized channel, but it opens up other doors inside YouTube. All right, everyone. Be safe as I fade to